Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the third episode of the Sorry I'm Booked podcast. And today is actually the second episode of my book club discussions. So today I'm going to be talking about the Sorry I'm Booked book club pick for the month of September, and it is October 8th that I'm recording this, so it has been, I'm a little late. But the Sorry I'm Booked book club we read in the month of September, Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. And I'm just going to tell y'all how I feel about this book, what I thought about it, what it's about. I think this book was very interesting. It was very sad at points. And the plot twist was definitely very, very strange. Just a warning, I will be spoiling this entire book. I will be talking about basically every major thing that happens in this book. So if you do want to read this book, you should probably read it before you listen to this. But yeah, basically, the tagline for this book is no one ever just disappears. And the main story of this book, the main hook that made me want to read it, is this woman named Laurel Mack. Her daughter goes missing and just gone without a trace, falls off the face of the world kind of thing. And then she meets this man, and this man has a daughter that looks just like her missing daughter. And that was what I heard. I heard that this woman, her daughter's missing, and then she starts dating this guy who has a daughter that looks just like her missing daughter. And so I went into this thinking, okay, the plot twist is probably going to have to do with this guy's daughter. Is it really her daughter? What happened? But that was not the case. Okay, so let me start from the beginning. There is this family. The mother's name is Laurel, the dad's name is Paul, and then they have three kids, Ellie, Jake, and Hannah, and they're the Mack family, so their last name's Mack. And basically what happens is one day Ellie Mack, the daughter, tells her mother that she's going to the library to study for a test, and she goes to the library and she is never seen again after that. She completely falls off the face of the planet, right? So, and of course, with mystery stories and stuff, it's always a question of are they still alive or not? And my whole question was is she still alive? What is her connection to this lookalike girl? So basically Ellie's disappearance kind of destroys her family. It really does. Her parents, Laurel and Jake, they end up separating, and then Laurel doesn't really speak to her kids that much anymore, and her kids have just gone on with their lives, and they don't really talk about it, and it's really a depressing subject. And it's sad to see where the families ended up. But let me backtrack a little bit. When Ellie was alive, she had this boyfriend named Theo, and he was really intelligent. He was very smart. And Ellie wanted to be smart as well. So she asks her mom, she begs her mom if she can have a math tutor. And so she gets this math tutor, and the tutor's name is Noelle Donnelly. And the author, Lisa Jewell, which I will definitely be reading more Lisa Jewell books after this. I was really impressed by her writing style, and something she did with this character, Noelle Donnelly, was in the beginning, when you just meet her, literally the first page you're reading about her, she seems like such a nice, sweet, the perfect just math tutor. She's a sweet old lady. She's giving Ellie candies. She seems like the kindest little old lady. And then as you read about her throughout their tutoring sessions, she gets kind of freaky. And I talked about this in our Fable, my book club on Fable. Literally, it's you meet her and she's the sweetest person ever, and then it slowly goes into this woman is weird territory. And I think that that was done very, very well by Lisa Jewell. I think she wrote that character very well. But yeah, so Ellie has this weirdo math tutor, and then she's studying for her GCSEs, and then she disappears. And the police at first, sorry, I literally thought someone was coming into my room. I thought it was an intruder. That was scary. Um, at first, the police are like, oh, Ellie probably ran away. Like, of course, she was stressed, she ran away. But Laurel is like, no. Laurel's like, my daughter did not run away. There's absolutely no way. And the only piece of evidence that they have, the only, like, the last thing that they have of Ellie is a CCTV footage of Ellie checking her reflection in a car window, and that's the last time she's seen. Like, literally, they have no other photos. She was wearing a black shirt and jeans, and they were like, no one is gonna be able to, like, pick her out of a crowd. So they really just, they have nothing. Like, no leads to go on about where this girl could have gone. So then my thought, like, I was confused, and I was like, okay, is this gonna be a story of, like, looking for Ellie? But no, it's not, because it's about, like, 10 years later, I believe. Like, it jumps to 10 years. So, like, they start by telling you about the disappearance and everything that led up to it, and then you jump a few years in the future, and you just see the destruction of, like, Ellie's disappearance. Like, the parents don't live together anymore, the other kids have gone off, and the police call Laurel and Paul into the police station, and Laurel shows up, and she doesn't really know, like, what the police want to talk to her about. She's like, I don't know why I'm here. And then she sees Paul, and she's like, oh, this, something's up. Like, something's probably happened. Um, and so they basically, the police sit them down in an interrogation room, and they're showing them these photos of the stuff that they found, and the photos of the stuff is what Ellie had with her when she went missing, and they identified, like, bone fragments or DNA. Like, they identified something of Ellie's, and they're they're basically like, Ellie is dead. Like, we now have proof that Ellie is in fact not with us anymore. And it's so sad, but it was interesting to me to get this closure, like, so quick in the book. Like, it's like 100 pages in, and you're like, oh, so she is in fact dead. Like, they kind of found her. So then the family is like, they have this closure. They're like, we have to move on. Like, I mean, it's been like 10 years, and they finally found just like a little piece of evidence that told them that Ellie was in fact dead. But they still don't know who killed her. They still don't know what happened. So then you learn about, like, Laurel's life, and Laurel's life after her daughter has gone missing, and after they find out that she's dead. It is so sad. Like, this woman's life is depressing and heartbreaking and sad. And of course it would be sad. Like, her only daughter's, not her only daughter, like, her daughter's gone missing, and her family kind of broke up over it. And she talks about her relationship with her other daughter, Hannah, and Hannah moved out. She's older now, and I believe she's 29, and they kind of have, like, a weird relationship. Like, they're not very close. And Laurel will, like, come to her house once a week and clean her house for her, and Hannah, like, pays her and leaves her money, and she's kind of like, this is my daughter who I'm helping, but it's kind of like, it's not really a mother-daughter relationship, which is, it's very sad. And she starts to, like kind of pick up details around her daughter's apartment of, like, what's going on in her life. Like, one day her daughter gets flowers delivered to her apartment, and Laurel comes over to clean her apartment, and she sees the flowers, and it has a note, and the note is, like, from T, like sorry, I can't speak. The letter T. So then she asks Hannah, she's like, who is T? Like, do you have a boyfriend or whatever? And Hannah's like, no. Like, Hannah gives her mom nothing in this book. Literally nothing. She literally, not even crumbs. She gives her mother nothing. And then Jake, her son, they barely talk. Barely talk. And Jake has this girlfriend. Her name is like Blue. And she's kind of strange. And we'll circle back to that. But Jake's girlfriend is kind of strange. So she has a horrible relationship with both her kids. She's separated from her husband, Paul, so that's not good either. And one day she goes to get her hair done, gets her hair done, that doesn't sound right. She goes to a salon and she gets her hair cut. And then she's like, oh my gosh, I'm starving. So she goes into this cafe and she's sitting at this cafe and she meets this guy, and it's kind of weird how she meets him. His name is Floyd, and he orders this like giant piece of cake, and then he sits at the table right next to her, and like every other table is open. He literally could have sat literally anywhere, and he chooses to sit next to her. So she's in her head, she's like, he's a little close, like this, like, we all do that. Like, if you're sitting somewhere and there's so many other places to sit, and then someone comes and sits right next to you, or if you're, like, in a parking lot filled with empty parking spaces and someone parks right next to your car, like, you're thinking, like, that's weird, that's suspicious, like, because I think that too. So, at first I was like, yes, Laurel, this is freaking weird. But then she gets up to go leave, and all of a sudden she gets up and the man is like, he's like, don't leave. And so he asks for her number, and he's like, do you want to share this piece of cake with me? Like I can't finish this cake all by myself. And she's like, I haven't literally nothing to lose. Like, I guess I'll sit with this man and eat his, like, share his cake, like, nothing to lose. So they exchange phone numbers, and they end up striking up this relationship, and she tells him, she's like, she doesn't tell him about her daughter. She doesn't say anything about it. She's basically just like, this is new, let's just figure it out. Like, so they start hanging out, and then they start dating, and he is like, I have 2 daughters. I have an older daughter who I believe her name's Sarah, his older daughter. His older daughter lives with her mother, so he doesn't live with her. But he has a younger daughter named Poppy, she's like 9 years old. And he didn't really tell her what happened with Poppy's mother or anything. But he's basically like, this is my daughter, she's 9 years old, like, you should meet her. So then Laurel comes over to meet his daughter, and she's, like, taken aback because she's like, this girl Poppy looks exactly like Ellie. Freaky. Like, the doppelganger stuff is it can be done really well, and I think it was done well in this. And she's basically talking about, like, this girl looks just like my missing daughter. She acts like my missing daughter. She sounds like my missing daughter. And at first, in my mind, like, before I had read this book, I thought, oh, maybe this is like an orphan situation, like the movie from 2009, if you've seen it. But it's not. I thought maybe in some world it is her daughter. But then I didn't realize that her daughter, they figured out that she was dead. So Poppy is not her daughter, but looks and acts just like her. And she's kind of freaked out. And she does get, like, a little freaked out, and she leaves. And she still hasn't told, like Paul still doesn't know about her daughter. She thinks. So she ends up telling him that she had a daughter named Ellie, and she went missing, and they just found her remains. And he's like, yeah, I know. I Googled you. He doesn't say that, but, like, he knows the gist. And, like, she's like, oh, yeah, I guess, like, it was all over the news and stuff. But he, like, it was kind of freaky to me that, like, she's, like, pouring her heart out. She's like, my daughter, like, I had this daughter, she's gone, just, like, don't know what happened to her. And he's like, yes, yeah, I heard. Is that? I don't know. It, like, weirded me out a little bit. And I talked about it in the book club discussion about how Floyd, like, I couldn't decide. I couldn't decide if I liked him or not. I couldn't decide how we were supposed to feel about him. I was like, I don't know if I'm supposed to like him or if I'm supposed to think he's weird. Like, I'm not sure. And I wasn't sure until the very end. So then, is that Flash forward? Flashing forward a little bit. Um, the, okay, I'm gonna get my words out and they're gonna sound good. Okay, so Laurel is in Floyd's house. They end up getting serious, like they are seriously dating. And Laurel is kind of like, we should have like a family meal. Like we should hang out as a family with her kids, her husband Paul, her ex-husband, because Paul has a girlfriend now too. So like she's like, everyone's moving on. We should have a family dinner. Like we have closure about Ellie. Like let's get together as a family. And to her surprise, everyone agrees. She was like, couldn't believe that everyone agreed. And it's, I don't know, reading about this family was kind of sad. Like, it was just really sad. So Laurel is like getting ready for the dinner, and then she walks out of this store and she sees her daughter Hannah walking out of like a brownstone or house or whatever, and she's walking with Theo. And Theo was Ellie's boyfriend before Ellie went missing. And that's T. Like, so now he's the one that sent her flowers. So now Hannah and Theo are dating. Theo was Ellie's boyfriend, as I've said. And that little plot twist, I liked that plot twist. And that was something that I really liked about this book, is that there was a lot of, like, plot twists and, like gotcha moments that didn't have to do with like the mystery. Like it was just stuff like that, like who is Hannah's boyfriend, or like who, like stuff like that. I don't know, it was interesting. Or like, why is Poppy so weird, kind of thing. And they're questions that you didn't even realize that you wanted the answer to, and then Lisa Jewell like reveals it in such a crazy way that you're like, what? I didn't think about that. And here's another one. So when Laurel is like when Laurel's in Floyd's house, she's in his house and she's walking in his hallway and she sees a photo of this woman. And she's like, this woman looks so familiar. She's like, who in the world is this woman? And then she's like, I got it. I know who this woman is. In Floyd's house was a photo of Noelle Donnelly. Do you remember who that is? Ellie's math tutor, or maths. They say maths. I don't know if this takes place in England or not. Yeah, but Noelle Donnelly. There's a photo, and Laurel's like, why the heck is there a photo of my daughter's math tutor in your house? And he's like, oh. And he's like, that's Poppy's mother. And Laurel's like, okay. She's just kind of surprised, like, and honestly, I think if you found that out, if you were like, oh, my late daughter's math tutor is the ex-wife mother of this man's daughter that I'm dating now. And the weird part about it is that Noelle Donnelly has disappeared. And like they don't know where she's gone. Her family doesn't know where she's gone. She's disappeared. She's somewhere, who knows. And this is when Floyd starts to get a little freaky. So you find out, am I jumping ahead? Okay, so you find out that Floyd and Noelle, their relationship was a little like weird. And he's like, oh, I was only with her because I felt bad for her. And then Noelle is like she's very like insecure and stuff, and she really wanted to like trap him in this relationship, Noelle and Floyd. So she like tells him that she's pregnant, but she's not pregnant. Yeah, she was lying. And Poppy is telling Laurel about this. Poppy is telling Laurel. No, Sarah. I'm sorry. What am I talking about? Sarah, the older daughter, is speaking with Laurel. And she's like, yeah, like, Noelle was pregnant, air quotes, but when she was supposed to be 8 months pregnant, I saw her getting out of the shower and she was skinny. Like, she had no belly at all. Like, and Sarah is telling Laurel this, and she's like, I always thought Noelle was weird. Like, she wasn't pregnant, and she said she was pregnant, and all this stuff. So then you're thinking, like, okay, well then where did Poppy come from if Noelle was never pregnant? So then you get, like, it switches POVs, kind of. Well, not, it just switches storylines, um, which is, I liked. And you get, like, you figure out what happened to Ellie. And this is the plot twist of the book. I'm going to tell you the plot twist. I was so shocked and taken aback with this plot twist. And I think in terms of shocking plot twists, this is one of the most shocking that I've read. I was shocked, very outlandish, and I think this plot twist is the reason that I wouldn't recommend this book to people, because it's just so weird. So you find out that Noelle was kind of like obsessed with Ellie and like how perfect Ellie's life was. Like, she was young and she had good grades and she had this great boyfriend, and Noelle is just kind of jealous of this teenager. And Noelle is an older woman, right? And she literally had never been in a relationship, anything, and it was like Noelle was very insecure about it, and she looked at Ellie as like everything she wasn't, and it's obviously very sad. But then you find out that Ellie was walking to the library that day and she saw Noelle, and Noelle kind of like comes up to her and they start talking, and at this point Ellie had fired Noelle as a tutor. Like, she told Laurel, Ellie told her mother, like, I don't want Noelle to be my tutor anymore. She's kind of freaking me out. She's kind of little freaking weird. And so Ellie is walking in the park. She sees her ex math tutor, and she's like, oh my god, oh my god. Like, it's like when you see anyone you know in public, you try to get out of there as fast as possible. But Noelle is like, Ellie, oh my god, like, I can't believe you're here, all this stuff. And she's like, what are you doing? And Ellie's like, oh, I gotta go study. And Noelle is like, oh, well, I actually made this sheet, this math sheet, that I've been giving to my other math students to help them with their GCSEs, and I have copies of it at my house. It's right over here if you want to grab one. And Ellie is like, oh, I can like send my mom to do that later, like whatever. And Noelle is like, no, like just come to my house. It's right over here. So she does. Ellie goes to Noelle's house, and she doesn't leave that house because Noelle takes her captive. Yep, that's right. She takes her captive in her basement, and she impregnates her with Poppy. Now, I'm not going to go into detail about how they explain that, because it was really freaking weird. It was weird. And, like, okay, it was sad. Oh my god, like, reading about this poor girl, Ellie, having this baby, and, like, being attached to this baby, and be like, this is my baby. And then Noelle just takes it. She just takes Poppy away. It was so, oh my gosh, broke my heart. Like, it was so sad to read about. And I think that if you're not, like, if you've never read, like, a thriller before, if you don't really read books like this, if you don't really read books in general, that is a shocking thing to read. It was baffling to me. I was like, whoa. I mean, it was a shocking plot twist, but it was also incredibly sad. But that is the like Noelle presented Poppy as her own. And she just told Floyd, she was like, oh, you missed the birth. Like, I had her yesterday, you missed it. and she just shows up with this baby because Floyd and Noelle were kind of on the outs. Like, he was like, I don't want to be in this relationship with you anymore, and she's like, fine, and she's like all mad, and then she like leaves for a while, and then she comes back and she's like, while we were broken up, I had the baby. And then she shows up with Poppy, and Floyd said that he kind of figured out what was going on because he kept seeing photos of Ellie on his TV on the news. And then all of a sudden, like, after a while, Noelle and Floyd get into this fight, and she's airing out all her dirty laundry. She's like, that baby isn't even yours. A girl named Ellie had that baby, and all this stuff. And she's just like lumping this in with like her angry rage, like yelling at Floyd. She's like, we're over. I'm done. Like, blah, blah, blah. And then she walks out the door, air quotes, never to be seen again. You find out later that Floyd killed Noelle and buried her under his flower bushes in his house because he was so mad. Yeah. So that's basically the gist of this book, Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. I did give it 3 stars. I think the fact that literally they kidnapped this girl and then made her have this baby, and then her ex-math tutor said that the baby was hers, and then she told her boyfriend that she didn't even really have the baby, and then the boyfriend was so mad he killed her and then buried her under the flower pot. And then later the mother of Ellie, the missing girl, starts dating this man and is like, why does your daughter look so much like my missing daughter? And he's like, oh, because your missing daughter is the mother of my daughter. Oh my god, like that's insane. And then Floyd ends up leaving, and he leaves Poppy with Laurel, and Laurel basically takes up the role of like Poppy's grandmother. And I mean, that's sweet. That's nice that she can have her grandmother, but it's sad. And Poppy is like, is my mother dead? And she's like, yes, she is. And it was really sad. I think that I think that plot twist was absolutely stunning. If you're watching this on video, this sun right now is like fighting with me. It's insane. But Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell, crazy story, plot twist like I've literally never read before, and I gave it 3 stars. And I think that I liked it. I thought that it was interesting, but it was also very, very sad to read and heartbreaking and dark. And I think that if you're getting into like thrillers and stuff and you want to read like a page-turning thriller, maybe start with something a little bit lighter, just because this book was really absolutely dark and sad and just a little, it was interesting. I liked it. I gave it 3 stars. I gave it 3 stars because I don't think that I would recommend this to people, and that's the reason why I gave it 3. But it was an interesting story. And this month, the month of October, my book club is reading Hallowe'en Party by Agatha Christie. So if you want to read that with us, you should join my book club. The link is somewhere, I believe, in some bio or in the bio of this video if you're watching on YouTube. If you are listening to this, you should probably give my podcast a 5-star review. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you should like this video and subscribe and comment down below what our November book club pick should be. And I will see you guys for the next episode of Sorry I'm Booked. Bye!